How are we doing today, everybody? My name is Tyler, and this is Ethan, our guest, for episode 1. Today we're going to be talking about baseball. This podcast is obviously going to have quite a bit of variety on it. Today is January 2nd, the start of a new year. Football season coming to an end. Basketball season's kind of in that point, not much going on. No baseball, obviously. Not really much going on in the sports world, obviously, besides the college football stuff, but figure this is a great time for me to start a podcast so that we could, have some stuff to talk about when these seasons do come back around. And Ethan will probably be a frequent visitor on the baseball ones. But today we're just going to kind of go over, a general knowledge of the offseason, kind of give our thoughts on it, see where we're at, see what we think. And we're obviously both Red Sox fans, so the first couple minutes of every episode in any sport category is probably going to be about the team that I like. So I guess that is why we will lead into that right now, which we are going to start off talking about the Red Sox and how the last season ended and how this offseason has gone so far. We've obviously made some splashes the last couple days, or I guess I should say last couple weeks. O'Neill, Giolito, moving on from Sale. Those three things by themselves, most people probably weren't going to expect to happen, especially the Sale thing. I did not expect that one at all. Personally, I'm pretty happy about the Sale one. I think getting rid of $17 million of the 27, I believe it is not terrible for us. I think it's a pretty win-win thing for both of us, and Grisham has high upside. What do you think?
Oh, I think getting back somebody I've actually heard of for Sale is definitely a win there. And the 6 years of control before he's actually hits free agency is pretty huge. And it addresses a right-handed bat and the second baseman for the Sox. So maybe we would have got nothing from Sale, and now we have a second baseman for 6 years. So that's a win.
I would agree. Getting a second baseman that's a righty is definitely something we were all wanting. Getting a righty as a whole, for me, was the big part. I don't really enjoy watching 36 lefties bat in a row, and then watching a sub come in that's also a lefty.
Yeah, and that frees up some money to go spend somewhere else. We didn't have to spend money on a second baseman. And this kid's like actually pretty good. He didn't have a spot on the Braves, so it made sense for them to get rid of him, but he fits in with us for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense for teams to move on from guys that don't have futures in the program. I mean, the Knicks made a huge trade in basketball, getting rid of a good player because they don't see a future with them. Might as well move on. And this is, like I said, a win-win overall. Which I guess we'll go into number 2, which is Giolito. A lot of people saying we overpaid for him. To be honest, I kind of was like that at first, but came to the realization, I can't be saying we overpaid for a guy when I'm saying that we need to pay for somebody. So it doesn't make a lot of sense if I'm complaining about not paying for somebody and then we do pay for somebody. I think it's the right decision to pay for somebody like that because there's not a ton of pitching, in that middle range. A lot of upside. I think it's another guy that we have no reason to not go after.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of somebody we had to go sign at this point. It's a guy that's going to go throw 180 innings a year and give you 30 starts. The contract's kind of weird because it's 1 year and then he has an opt out if he wants it. So if he pitches good, he's probably going to opt out. So are we going to pay him if he's good? The way it's going, probably not.
Yeah.
Probably be gone after one good year, but we'll see. I mean, it's good for this year and it's good for where we're at.
Yeah, I actually didn't know that I knew there was opt-out, but I didn't really think about the fact that if he was good, that technically we'd have to pay him a bit more, which wouldn't be happening.
Yeah, I mean, we'll address that when we have to actually do that, and hopefully the Sox are in a position where they want to win and want to pay guys. But I'm
Yeah.
sure we'll talk more about how we're not actually paying anybody, which is a huge issue.
Yeah, and then we had O'Neill, which obviously isn't something that I don't think anybody's too freaking out about, but, kind of fits the scheme with Duran, Jack guy in the outfield. We just need to get one more of those in the outfield, and we'll have 3 really big guys running around.
Yeah, another righty bat in the outfield that kind of replaces Duvall. Although I did see today that this Duvall could come back because nobody's really reached out to him. So I'd take Duvall back on a cheap contract, and then O'Neill can kind of play against lefties, and then Ref Snyder's probably off the team at that point if we have O'Neill on the bench. But I don't know. We'll take as many right-handed power bats as we can.
Yeah, we definitely are one of the weirder teams, I'd say. Most people don't really know what's going on with us. Have a lot of talent. Winning 78 games in the AL East, honestly, nothing to be disappointed about. Considering, we weren't really that good as a roster as a whole. But, tons of potential there. When 4 teams almost make the playoffs, you can't really be complaining when you're about 500 in that division. It's the only sport in the world that a team can finish where they did and they get criticized as if they had the worst season ever. Pretty much the only town in the world that would do that to a team. Nothing about a 78-win season is fantastic, but nothing about it is something to say, holy shit, we suck. Like, we need to move on from everybody. If that happened in any other sport, finishing around that mark, we're pretty much going, we need 1 or 2 more guys.
Yeah, I think the Diamondbacks won like 86 games and made the World Series, so 78 games is not far from that. And we won like 3 games in all of September. So
yeah,
we were just done at that point. But I don't know. For a last place team, it's just we didn't play like that. So AL East is tough.
Yeah, it's definitely the division reason we didn't make the playoffs. I agree. And I guess the last thing we'll talk about the Sox real quick is who do we think needs to step up? And I'm going to start with 2 guys, and it's probably the 2 more obvious answers, and that's going to be Story and Devers. Devers is my favorite player on the team, obviously. Ethan knows that. But Devers had a season that is super underrated. Third baseman, he never gets credit, has a good season, whatnot. But, we're paying him a lot of money. He had some times where he's just struggling. We need to see a little bit more consistent Raffy, a little bit more disciplined Raffy, and obviously Story. Just a letdown as a whole from a bat. I know my dad specifically is somebody that doesn't really pay attention to like defense. A lot of fans don't really know what's going on defensively, but when I watch Story play, I see probably one of the best infielders I've ever watched for the most part. And if he could just be swinging it a little bit better, it's just going to go miles for the team.
Yeah, I think Story is the answer there. If Story steps up, the Sox are a completely different team. Like, that's the right-handed hitter we need in the top third of the lineup. And we're in the playoffs if he goes back to Colorado's Story.
Yeah. Obviously, I'm not disappointed with Raffy entirely, but I'd like to see an MVP candidate come ahead of us because it'd just be fun to have it. I know he has it in him too.
Won the Silver Slugger on the down year, so
yeah, it's crazy.
Not too bad.
Yeah, it's crazy how that was a down year. All right.
Yeah.
So next time I'll probably talk about the Red Sox at the end because if people are here to listen to baseball, we're not going to bore you with a bunch of Red Sox talk, but that was just a little brief dive into it. We can definitely dip into it more later on. But that's going to bring us to our first MLB topic, which is the offseason thoughts so far. Teams that have been disappointing people, teams that are making good decisions, and kind of just teams that are, going to be good at baseball this year. And we'll probably switch off here saying a team that's doing good, a team that's doing bad. I'm sure everybody has their opinions, but some of them are pretty obvious. And I think a team that's impressed me so far, who obviously isn't going to be good, and if they moved on from their best player, which would be Bobby Witt, I think the Royals have did a good job so far. Accumulating a bunch of average players. They're at least trying to pay guys. They're putting some effort out there to make their team a little bit better. Obviously, they're horrible. But, what they were terrible at last year was pitching. And they at least try to fill those voids. I think Lugo was honestly one of the more underrated signings. I think he's got some serious potential. I wouldn't have hated seeing him on the Red Sox for the price he went for. But I've been impressed with the Royals so far, and I think that they might have something coming if they can continue to build around Witt and not move on from him like a bunch of donuts.
Yeah, I had the Royals on my list too. Just, back-to-back good pitcher signings that should give them some solid innings. But I'll talk about the Cardinals, I guess. They, right at the beginning of the offseason, they went out and signed Sonny Gray and Lance Lynn.
Yeah.
That happened, and then nothing else has really happened besides the Dodgers stuff. but the Cardinals, like, nobody expected them to be a last place team. And, I mean, they just underperformed big time last year. Their offense is still good. Goldschmidt, Arenado, and a bunch of other guys, but the
Walker,
pitching
right?
should help.
Jordan Walker in the outfield, the young kid.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I mean, Sonny Gray coming off like a Cy Young caliber season. Like, that's a pretty good signing. A little underrated, too.
I think the Cards do have a chance to make it back. It's not like the division they're in is anything to be scared of, really.
No, and nobody else in there is really doing much. The Brewers haven't done anything, so.
Um, Real quick while I'm talking, I would unplug your air plug and put it back in. It was cutting out there for a second. But just to reiterate about the Royals, you know, that division, who knows? You know, they could pop off. They could do something that people wouldn't expect. And they still have Brady Singer, right? Like, that's going to be a guy they're going to have too. I mean, that's having three dudes like that is nothing to be ashamed of. I think if we were Red Sox, if they were on the Red Sox, we would be happy with all three of those guys on the team. So, you know, that was kind of impressive to me to see them jump out that quick and grab those guys. I thought those guys would go to big dog teams for sure. I didn't expect those two to go there at all.
I believe they have Reagans, too, the guy that came back from the Rangers for Chapman. And he might be their best pitcher, so.
The lefty, right?
Sneaky good rotation. Yeah. I mean, he dominated the end of the last season, so. That's a solid rotation for a bad team.
But then they might go out there and shut out a team, but they might score 0 runs through 15 innings in the same game. If Witt's sitting out or goes over, I'm not even sure who plays outfield on that team. Velasquez?
Yeah, it's a bad lineup with a bad bullpen, so.
Or no, Melendez, sorry. He plays catcher and outfield. Who even is that guy? He's actually really good against the Red Sox only.
Yeah, that's true. But no, their lineup is still pretty bad. They did sign Hunter Renfroe too. That's a interesting signing.
That is
could be could be good, could be not good. It's kind of how he goes.
It was cheap, so I bet it was worth it in the long run. A team that has kind of been weird to me that I thought was going to kind of go out there and try to pay was the Marlins. I kind of thought the Marlins had a good year last year. Obviously, I know Soler, somebody they're going to have to decide on. I think they decided to keep Josh Bell, who's nobody, anything special. But a team that's clearly missing, one or two things, and a team that has a ton of potential. They're also in a tough division, but the NL is not impossible to make the wild card in. And they disappointed people in the playoffs, and now they're disappointing people in the offseason. I haven't heard their name in any of these signings for the most part. I hear they're trying to trade some of their good players. I don't understand what they're doing as a whole, because now I feel like it's their time to try to capitalize on these young talents and see what happens. I don't know why they're not paying anybody, because it's Miami. Sure, the Marlins aren't selling out every day, but that team needs something.
Yeah, I was thinking about that, and maybe it's because Sandy is out all next year. I forgot he got Tommy John, so he's out all of next year. And even though he didn't have the best season compared to his Cy Young season, like, he still gives him a ton of innings and should be their ace. But it sounds like Marlins are going to ship off one of their young guys, either Luzardo or Cabrera. I doubt they trade Yuri, but one of those guys is going to be going to a contender.
I mean, having those four guys on a team, Sandy, Yuri, Cabrera. I mean, Cabrera is a 4 with a ton of upside still. Like, that's a rotation itself, but that's a team right there. And they have some good, bats. I don't really know who is good on the team at fielding, because I feel like everybody's pretty bad at fielding on that team. But offensive team, turn it into offensive team. You got the pitching. I didn't really I kind of forgot about the Sandy thing as a whole. Even if he misses the season, yeah, it sucks balls, but that's a good team. Just, I get these guys aren't really wanting to pay people millions and millions. And I know they had like some kind of they had a new GM. So that might be kind of an issue. I believe the general manager stepped in there. Somebody I think it was the lady got fired or whatever.
Yeah. Kim, yeah, she's out of there. They hired somebody over her, and then she decided to leave. So
Yeah.
basically, she got fired, saying that she wasn't good enough.
Yeah, you think that guy would have, or whoever it was, would have came in there and kind of try to do something more. I mean, I get it. I don't think every team is going to go out here and sign everybody, but I haven't really heard their name at all, and that's just been weird to me because I thought they were a team missing one thing.
They might just think that that division's too tough right now, and they're
That
just
is
going to
true.
fold like a small market team. I mean, that division's them and the AL East are the two best divisions. So
That is a
the
loaded
NL,
team.
NL West is good, but I mean, it's pretty front loaded in the NL West,
Yeah,
top loaded.
700
Yeah.
million loaded.
Yeah, the Dodgers. I mean, clearly the winners of the offseason. Nobody's going to argue that. And
Nope.
it's not really close. That's where all the action's been. Those two guys holding up the whole market, and then the market still hasn't moved. So I don't know what's going on.
And they've gotten a couple other small things here and there that most people aren't even seeing.
Yeah,
It,
I mean, trade for Glasnow and extend them immediately. That's a solid move there.
I know Glass now being something that wasn't even like prioritized by social media is ridiculous. Like it's just a stupid team. There's so many good players on it. It's it's asinine to think about. Having Will Smith be not even in your top 8 players is concerning.
Yeah, I mean, clearly the World Series favorites, I'd say, although the Braves, I mean, their might be better. It's
Yep.
longer. So, but Otani, Freddie, Mookie, top three. It's just there's nothing
Yeah.
like it. There's never been anything like it in history. So
I'm not sure who's gonna. I mean, if they have to face the top of the order, you could bring on a closer, and the closer's going to be shitting bricks. Nobody is going to be excited to face those guys.
especially if they have the best closer in the league on their team soon, who knows where Hader's going to sign?
Yeah,
I
that
also
was.
saw that Kenley could be getting traded back to the Dodgers. That might be a fit because the Red Sox most likely moving on from him because he's expensive.
Well, who could we get from them in a trade that would be good for us? I feel like we get one of those young pitchers that they don't even really want to use.
It depends what they think his contract is worth. If they think he's overpaid, then we won't get much. If it's fair, then we might get something good back.
Yeah,
But
it'd be nice to get something.
they've traded away so many of their prospects. I don't even know who they have left. But
Yeah,
that's a big market team. They don't care about their farm system. They'll just pay guys when they have to.
it's kind of crazy. I think another
It
team
is.
that's did a pretty solid job is the Diamondbacks. You know, I think going out and getting Erod was a very intelligent decision. You know, keeping Gurriel was nice. And then you got guys that are just taking a step. Players last year that most people wouldn't even expect it to be even remotely relevant. And these guys are taking steps to being good players. I think they're going to be sneaky still. I wouldn't doubt them making the playoffs again, especially if they keep that mojo up. I know they're not really still that loaded, but getting Erod is a big help.
Yeah, they also traded for Suarez from the Mariners to play third,
Yeah,
which gets Longoria out of there, who was their worst bat by far. I mean, he needs to retire. Good
yeah,
career, but he's done. But
he's done.
yeah, solid lineup, solid rotation. They overperformed, but they're still going to be in playoff contention for the foreseeable future.
The Reds have made a bunch of low ball signings. Nothing crazy, but they're trying. I think I just saw a tweet today saying they're all done signing people for the most part.
Yeah, I saw that too. I mean, the Reds, bunch of young talent. Um, it really all relies on Ellie, who started off crazy hot, and then by the end of the season, he was batting like seventh for him. So
Yeah.
who knows how that's going to go? I mean, I assume pitchers adjusted to him, and now he needs to adjust back and see how he can handle the MLB.
going to be an interesting player to watch. I'm seeing his jersey sold here where I'm living in Indiana in a random Macy's lid store. So I imagine he's going to be a pretty hot topic. A lot of people are going to be wanting to watch him. Should help the Reds out for jersey sales and all kinds of, explosion in their market, their fans. So it's good for them. I'm happy for them because it's good to see a team like that kind of overcome a pretty big drought. But
Yeah, that division's very gettable. Like, there's nobody guaranteed to win that division, so they'll always be in it.
yeah, especially with maybe these Brewers guys getting just sent to the fucking Wolves. If they send those two pitchers, who even they're gonna blow.
Yeah. Woodruff out for the season, and Burns. Woodruff actually got DFA'd, so he's off the team forever.
Yeah,
And then Burns has 1 year left, so they'd be dumb to not trade him if they're not gonna extend him and offer him a deal.
he'll be gone. I don't know where he'll be, but he'll be somewhere else.
And then the last guy left would be Freddie Peralta, he's solid. I mean, their pitching was really good, and that's the only reason why they've been at the top. But I mean, they're not paying guys, so they're gonna have to move on.
I think the AL East as a whole has been quite pathetic in the offseason. Like all five teams. Sure, Yankees trade for Soto. Big name, one of the best players in the league. But like we know, it's a year. It's nothing guaranteed. And besides that, obviously the Red Sox, we just name these small little transactions, and the Blue Jays have their tiny little ones, but it's not like the Orioles are going out of their way to try to get better, and the Rays have only gotten considerably worse. Like, the AL East, monster division, only gotten worse, in my opinion. I don't think they're getting better.
Yeah, the Blue Jays are probably the most disappointing of every team. Like, they were in on Ohtani. Everybody saw that get messed up, and he clearly didn't go there. And then they were in kind of on Yamamoto, but nothing serious. Now Bellinger's the last guy really on their big name list, and if he doesn't go there, then that's a huge failure of an offseason. If Chapman walks too, then that's a huge hole at third base.
Yep. They're going to have some... it's definitely going to help us.
Yeah, the Blue Jays, like, we talk about the Red Sox and how they're doing nothing, and they're doing more than the Blue Jays, and they're doing more than the Orioles. The Orioles signed Kimbrel, which is good because Batista's going to be out for I'm not sure if it's a full season, but he'll be out for a while. And then obviously the Rays done nothing. They've lost all their good players. Glasnow gone, McClanahan out for the season, I think, and then Wander in jail.
Yeah, I mean, that team is really bad. And somehow I feel like they're going to squeak in 500 some weird way. Some random dude's going to step up. I mean...
Yeah, they have prospects somewhere that got to come up and dominate.
It's just so stupid. And I think the Braves have did pretty solid. They've obviously gotten a little better. I think getting Sale for the price they got him for is... I would definitely be excited as a fan. I wouldn't say like he's going to make the team that much better, but definitely getting him for the $9.5 million or whatever the hell it is really not that big of a deal, and only could be good for them because he's not even going to be prioritized as a high volume pitcher for them. You're definitely lower end of the rotation.
Yeah, that's a low risk signing for them. I mean, if he's cheap, so if he stinks and doesn't pitch, then it doesn't matter. But if he goes out there and dominates like he can, then they're going to win the World Series. So, and they also traded for Kelnick from the Mariners, who another guy that has super high ceiling and was a very good prospect, and who knows how he's going to play.
Sale could be really good in the playoffs too.
It's scary. Lots of people are just talking about him giving innings in the regular season, but if he can just be healthy for the playoff run, which they're obviously going to make, then, I mean, watch out.
I mean, he could shit on all those Phillies guys that are giving them a hard time. Like, Harper and Schwarber are going back to the dugout facing Sale. Like, they're just not touching that.
You know, Sale's going to ramp it up for those playoff games. He's going to go give you 5 innings, throwing 100, and he's going to go punch out 10. So,
yeah, he's
good.
He's awesome.
So good.
I always like that guy. It's always hard to say you're happy about a trade. And
No,
then two
nobody
teams.
expected it, but
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
no, just nobody expected it, but nobody dislikes it. It's a weird trade that they never work out like this.
Yeah, I'd agree. It's kind of one of those trades that you like dial up in MLB The Show franchise mode and it works. It's like perfect.
Yeah.
And then two teams. I don't know the Angels and the Padres. I'm not sure what they're going to be like going forward. The Padres probably a little more hope than the Angels, but the Angels are going to be really bad. Like, terrible.
It's not even like this season. It's like forever. Like
Yeah. They just
I
have
don't.
nothing going on. If Trout isn't moved, they have serious concerns going forward. I mean,
Well,
I heard they're getting rid of Drury, Trout. You know, the I think Walsh was maybe talking about getting moved. I'm not. Or I don't even know what's going on there.
Rendon can't be moved because he's like the highest paid third baseman and
Yeah,
doesn't play.
he's terrible.
So uh, I don't. They ruined their whole future last season at the deadline when they went out and got all these guys, and then they put them on waivers because they realized they had to do a salary dump. Like it was
Yeah.
just the worst deadline of all time,
Yep.
probably.
Otani should have been traded. Like no ifs, ands, or buts. They definitely should have moved on from the closer, and I don't even know why they were acquiring people at the deadline as if it was going to do something. I mean, that team was just still bad.
They they got Giolito, so and he was like playing his worst ever, and then
Yeah,
he ended up on the Guardians like a couple weeks later. So that shows how that went. Just terrible.
definitely a bad team. I honestly, if I'm being serious, I think the A's might beat them in the division.
It's gonna be a battle down there. It's gonna be a serious battle.
Maybe the A's
But
will pull out some studs.
A's do have some young guys, about one or two of them. But
They'll get
A's
traded.
are gonna be pathetic. They're doing nothing. Their payroll's gonna be about $3 million.
They
Yeah.
seriously like. We'll somehow go out there and lose to them though. We'll get swept.
Oh, they threw a perfect game against the Sox a couple years ago, so or a no hitter. But they're gonna win 50 games, lose 110 probably.
Well, that guy will throw 5 no hitters in a row, and then they'll trade him to a good team, and then replace him with nobody.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what that team is. They shouldn't even be in the MLB. I think the Red Sox AAA team would beat them in a 7 game series.
It probably
It's
could.
bad.
All right, so we'll kind of
Pretty good
narrate off
AAA
this
team.
off this topic. Something that we could continue to go through all the teams. Um, but we're going to go into the best players still available, places they probably should go, places that be annoying that they go, places that we think they will go, which most of these guys are probably going to end up on the Dodgers somehow, some way. But we got Blake Snell and Josh Hader, probably two of the better pitching guys to look at. And then you got Bellinger and Chapman, probably two of the better bats. And then you have Montgomery, who's really solid pitcher, obviously. And there's quite a few other ones that we could go through, but I wanted to list 5 that we could talk about today. And I think the right answer to all 5 of these or 4 of them. I don't want Chapman, but all 4 can come to the Red Sox if they want. Well, we'll take Bellinger and Snell. They can come. Montgomery can be there. Hader can certainly come. Well, we'd love all of them if they want to make their way over.
Yeah, we probably have to trade Raffy so we can free up the money. But
Yeah,
I don't see any of those guys except the pitchers coming. And then even then, it's like a 20% chance. There's a chance for sure. It's not high because of the price we're gonna have to pay, but I think we're in on them at least to a degree, especially Montgomery.
yeah. Montgomery, I think will end up on the Sox. To be honest, I do truly believe we'll scrape away with him. I don't think Snell will. I think he's going to cost too much, and I don't even want that guy. I think he's kind of a bozo, but Bellinger, I don't know. I don't know what his scenario, where he's going to go, what he's. I don't know why the Cubs haven't really just like thrown 5 arms at him and 65 legs. Like, they need him.
I think he's gonna end up back on the Cubs, but he's in such a weird scenario where he was horrible for like 2 or 3 years, and he bounced back. Obviously, last year he was like actually getting MVP votes, but the Blue Jays have been aggressive with him. It's been reported, but other than that, it's like those are the two teams. Maybe the Giants too, but the Cubs would be dumb to not bring him back.
Yeah, the Cubs will. He definitely should be there, considering what he did for him last year. But I do agree it is a tough one to be right about. Could be awful again. Who knows?
Yeah, if somebody offers him 7 years for like over 100 million, like he's gonna go jump on that. The Cubs might be scared to offer that, which is understandable. But I mean, yeah, pay big and win big with Bellinger. Like he could be an MVP candidate for the next 5 years. So we'll see.
Yeah, and I honestly don't know where Snell will end up. Probably will be one of the teams we don't want him to end up on. But it's another one that's he kind of did the same thing as Cody last year. Had a bad year or an average year. Came back, had a great year last year, obviously. Who knows what he's going to do this year? Who knows what he'll do going forward? Who knows how much he's going to cost?
It sounds like he wants to be on the West Coast. That's where he's from, and that's where he's been recently. I don't know why the Padres aren't just bringing him back. Like, it makes the most sense. They still have a good lineup, and he won the Cy Young with them last year, so it's hard to like not think that they're in on him. Although they've been said to be in like debt, which is not good when he's going to cost close to $200 million.
Yeah, if they don't get Snell and like Hader's officially not there, like that, and they move on from even Cronenworth, that team just gets even worse and worse. I mean, it comes down to being average. They have some young kids though coming up that could be good. I don't know how soon they'll be there though.
No, they're in a weird spot where they went all in last season with Bogarts, giving him probably the worst contract in baseball, and now they're going backwards, trading Soto
Yeah,
and letting Snell and Hader go. Like it doesn't make any sense.
that was a pretty rough off season for them, or a pretty rough season for them.
Yeah, I mean they should have been in the playoffs like easily, but weren't even in the hunt until like the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. Um, Chapman, I honestly, of all 5 of these guys, I've heard the least about on where he's going to end up. I think somehow he'll be back on the Blue Jays, but I don't know even who the number 2 team is for him. I haven't heard anything about it. It's been pretty quiet on my radar, but he's a guy that I think is really overrated. Just like super streaky. Doesn't scare me like any of these other guys on the Blue Jays even. Guys in the MLB that are called elite. I'm taking Raffy over him every day. And if somebody's not, then they're smoking meth or hate the Red Sox.
Yeah, ever since he's been on the Blue Jays, I've thought he's been way overrated. Like his defense is phenomenal, like top in the league. But I mean the strikeouts are crazy high, and I mean just super streaky. Like he started off last season incredible, and then he kind of faded off, and his numbers from the first half helped look good by the end. But I mean, I haven't heard anything about where he's going to go. But why isn't he going back to the Blue Jays? It makes some sense.
Yeah, they
Like
need to do that.
they're still good, and they need him. But yeah, I've heard nothing on Chapman.
They could have a pretty weird side of the infield there if they have Bichette as their best fielder on the left side. That could be a pretty rough time for him. Bichette might launch a couple. The new third baseman might launch a couple over the first baseman's head, who's awful at defense as well.
Bo's probably their best player, and he's one of their worst defenders. So that says something about their team.
And then, I mean, they have your favorite player, who's probably an MVP candidate last year, Kiermaier. I mean, he's just terrific ball player.
Been my least favorite player ever since just I ever saw him. I mean, he had a walk off against the Red Sox, I think, 2 years ago, and made me hate him even more. But yeah, if that's their big signing this offseason, then
Yeah,
they might be in last place in the AL East. It's hard to. The Rays have to be last, but they're going to be at the bottom too.
it is kind of crazy though. Like if people predicted this season or before everybody got signed, like literally everybody, all the trade potentials, if they predicted the season, they probably would have thought like the Blue Jays are going to be dogs, the Yankees are going to be dogs, the Orioles are going to be dogs. I guess you could even say going into last year, before McClanahan goes down and Wander, hangs out with a 4-year-old and everything goes downhill for him. Like, if you looked at it, you would never say the AL East is up for grabs. But now it's like the Orioles don't scare anybody. And if they do, they're only going off of recency bias of last year. The Rays seriously could be worse than the A's, potentially. The Yankees haven't did much, and all those guys are going to probably get hurt at some point. And like the Blue Jays are solid. The Red Sox, if they do go get one of these dudes, like, and we go get another bat, and then we trade in the season, like we're seriously there. Like we're all over winning that division. I don't care what anyone says. The division is officially went from the best division in baseball to kind of being up for grabs again, maybe with a bunch of solid play. But it's still not, I don't see it being a clear favorite to anybody.
Yeah, it feels like every team besides the Rays is like a move or two away from being the favorite. And the Yankees' rotation is very bad. And last season they were bottom 5, bottom 10 offense. So it's like, is adding Soto gonna make them World Series favorites all of a sudden? No.
Yeah.
And they have Cole. They have Cole in the rotation, and that's their only solid. Like he's gonna be good. So Rodon was horrible last year. That's another terrible contract. So
Yeah, I'm not scared of
the
that at
Yankees gotta do
all.
something.
Rodon is not going to come out there and shove it against the Red Sox. Even if we put 9 lefties against them, we're still going to. I ain't scared of that little pipsqueak.
No, they're. I assume the Yankees are gonna get one of these pitchers. Imanaga is another guy that he's
Yeah,
a lefty free agent, and he has to sign by the 11th, I believe, which is like next week. So that'll be interesting. That might make the market start to move a little bit.
that would. It would suck if the Yankees went after like some pitchers and just started loading up, because then it'd be annoying. And we'd still probably think we still have our doubts with them because I don't know. I Judge is quite terrible in the postseason, so we'll see what he does if they do make it that far.
Yeah, and he hasn't been healthy, and he'll be playing center field, I believe, which even hurts his case of staying healthy.
Yeah, that's concerning. Did Bader? I know Bader's not there anymore. Did he sign somewhere yet?
I'm not sure.
I mean, he kind of
I
blows, but like
don't. I don't
fast
think so.
player, good, decent outfielder. Would be annoyed. I mean, if he goes back and I have to watch the TikTok of that Yankees fan doing the roll call and hearing Bader again, I'm probably going to lose my mind. But I mean, he could be back there.
Yeah, I don't think Bader's signed. I see Yankees looking to reunite with Bader, so
He'll probably end up
I don't
there.
think that's going to happen. There, I mean, somebody's going to get hurt out there. Stanton's not playing the outfield. He'll be a DH the whole season because he
Yep.
cannot run. And well, we haven't really talked about, but Verdugo is going to be out there.
I
So
kind
that
of wow. I kind of spaced on that one. Wow. I mean, overall, pretty good trade for him. After they got Soto, I like it more. Um, I guess that is kind of another addition that is going to be beneficial for an offense. He's going to bring in there. He's going to get on base more than a lot of those clowns were on there last year. But I mean, I don't know. I'm just when Verdugo used to get up to the plate, I never ever was like highly confident in crucial situations that he was going to do something. I thought he was awesome and like was fun to watch, but when we needed leverage or it was a high leverage spot and Verdugo's coming up, it was never like, thank God Verdugo's coming up. It was more like, okay, Verdugo's up. So I'm not
yeah,
too concerned about
no.
him.
He's going to be a league average player for them. He'll play great defense, which he did last season, and he'll go hit 280 with 13 homers and 70 RBIs. Maybe not even, but I mean, he hasn't put together a full good season yet in his
Yeah,
career. He's been streaky, but not for 162.
definitely a player that will be. I wish if there was a topic for players that you don't know what they're going to do, I would definitely put him up there because he could. He does have the game to be one of the best or one of the most solid around at everything. But I do think he's lazy as fuck, and I think he's kind of a meat stick when it comes to like dealing with the managers. So I do kind of have
Yeah.
Cora's back there as much as I've criticized him. I do have Cora's back there because I don't think Cora's at fault for the Verdugo situation. I think that Verdugo is kind of being a punk about it and being lazy. So I think we should go
Yeah,
Joe.
there's a reason why we just let the Yankees have him. Like,
Yeah,
we're not just like helping the Yankees out. No, we decided that makes sense. So
yeah. We'll go into this next topic, which is overrated and underrated signings. Probably make this one a little bit more brief, and then we'll go into these last topics talking about the best teams, worst teams in the league predictions. I'm gonna go out here, player that I think might be good, an underrated one, and I'm gonna go with the Giants signing Jung Ho Lee. I think these outfielders from over there are pretty good. I'm wearing one on my back right now. I think he'll be pretty solid. I like the signing. I think he's pretty expensive. I think it was a 5-year 112, maybe 6-year 112. But I do like that signing as a whole. I think that he'll be a pretty solid player. I'm excited to watch him play. I like watching these guys come over and play.
yeah, he was the biggest one I had on underrated, but everybody else I have we've talked about. I'll just reiterate on. I guess I'll talk about Giolito. He's kind of underrated because I mean, he was getting Cy Young votes a couple years ago. The Red Sox bring in a GM that specializes in pitching. We have a new pitching coach who put together a great staff on the Giants, and I mean, if anybody's going to get him back on track, it's going to be this guy, I believe. And I mean, if he can tap into what he used to be able to throw with in his arsenal, like I mean, he could be easily a number two in the rotation. So don't sleep on Giolito. I guess there's a reason why we gave him 19 million a year. We believe in something, and I mean, we'll see. It's gonna be a big year for him in his future.
I agree. I mean, like I said earlier, at first I was super weirded out by the cost, and then I kind of read it more and realized more what we got. And I was like, I can't be hypocritical. We paid a guy good money, not anything ridiculous, but solid money. But he could be like the best. So why not? It's almost like to all the fans, why are you upset? This is what you wanted.
Yeah, especially if we knew that we were trading Sale, like, and we needed more innings. It made a lot more sense once that happened.
Yeah, I mean, I guess this counts. Like Grisham could be disgusting. He could be really fucking good. His MLB stats are good so far, in every game he's played, through an average standpoint, his career long stats are good in the short span it's been. I'm not going to put him on my underrated side, but just like overall, replacing Sale, not a lefty, but replacing Sale with Giolito, go get Montgomery. Yeah, every Red Sox fan should be jumping up and down because that would be a good two guys to go get. So I don't want to go back to the Red Sox talk because we could probably sit here and continue to blabber about that. But we'll go into an overrated signing. We'll let you go first on this one.
Overrated. I have Severino with the Mets. He has not been good at all when he's with the Yankees. It was not. It was like 13 years, 1 million, which isn't a lot, but I mean, what are the Mets doing? Like, I know they miss on Yamamoto, and they're probably not going to go all in this year at all. But that guy's not good. And anybody saying that he's going to bounce back, I mean, there's just no sign saying that he's going to be good again.
Yeah, and he's bouncing back on a team that is terrible. I mean,
Yeah,
they're not
you don't
going
want
to
to
get him
pitch
wins.
that team.
Yeah,
No, he's going to have no fun over there. So, and he's not like a top guy either. They have Senga, who's clearly their number one now, with Scherzer and Verlander both gone, who they're
yeah,
still paying.
another awful team that is just going to take a deuce. This one, like, Shohei I love. And, like, sure, signing Shohei Ohtani is clearly making your team better. But I will never excuse the contract, and I will never respect it. So I'm going to put that one in overrated, in the fact where, sure, the Dodgers aren't going to cry about the $700 million they're paying, but from a baseball standpoint and from a standpoint of concern for the sport, I don't like the signing because, one, if he's not pitching next year, he ain't worth $70 million, which, sure, he's only making $2 million next year, which is so stupid. But I would never support that. If they gave him $500, I still would have thought it was stupid, but he would have deserved it. These contracts, these guys obviously make a lot of money in every sport, but I just can't get behind it, him making that much money. It's a lot.
Yeah. I'll just talk about one more real quick. Lance Lynn with the Cardinals. I don't think anybody's really saying he's going to be good, but he was really bad last year.
Yes.
I think White Sox got traded to the Dodgers, and it was still awful.
It was terrible.
He had a start in the postseason, I believe, where I think the Diamondbacks just were like raking off him. So
Yeah.
he gave up like the most home runs on the planet last year. So that's he's shown to be okay. It's just that's not the Cardinals guy they should have just locked up.
Poor White Sox, man. They had some talent.
Yeah.
They got
And
shafted.
they're holding on to their two big guys. They're holding on to Robert and Cease.
I know. God, I wish.
Little thing on Cease, I heard they were asking for Bayo and like top prospects for the Red Sox. So it's like, why would they ever do that?
Yeah, screw that.
It makes no sense. They want back another pitcher that's gonna replace him, which Cease didn't even have like that great of a year last year.
Yeah, I
He's
think
good.
Cease and Bayo go hand in hand, low key. Considering Bayo's price, I don't even know how much money he makes. I can't imagine it's anything.
No, it's a couple million for arbitration.
Yeah.
Nothing.
And I thought another solid extension by a team that is going to continue to be solid is the Phillies. Keeping Nola was smart. Player that I low-key would like to have saw the Red Sox somehow get, but figured he would stay there. He got a lot of money though. I think it was like 7 for 175 or 170, something like that. But I mean, that guy's a good player.
Yeah, 172. So and he's 30 years old right now. So
yeah,
that's a lot when he's gonna be 37 years old in his last year.
Yeah, I liked them trying though. The Phillies did in every sport. Philadelphia has did a fantastic job the last 5 years in improving their teams, and yeah, it's showing. Like, I would love to be a Philadelphia sports fan, even though it's probably my least favorite sports fan in every single sport, especially outside of baseball. I really don't hate the Phillies. Like, I don't like the Eagles and the 76ers.
It's hard to hate the Phillies, with everything that's going on with like how crazy the crowd is and the way they've played in the playoffs the last couple of years. Like, it's a fun team, and even if you hate them, you're gonna secretly like them.
Yeah, I know. Watching Schwarber go 0 for 12 and then hit a ball 480 is really fun to watch sometimes. Like, he's explosive, and I mean I think Harper's like the face of the league, like in terms of defining baseball. I think he defines the game better than anybody. He's got that grit. Yeah, he's a dog. He gets dirty. He likes getting dirty. He might be a little overrated in the field, and he's playing fucking first base now, which is just wild to think about. But he's a really good dude for the game, and it keeps all of his personal shit out of it. Literally goes out there, wins as many games as he can. Doesn't care about his MVP shit. Doesn't care about fucking how many home runs he hits. But he'll go out there and pimp one for you.
And they'll be good for a long time.
And then our last topic, actually, we'll do this one real quick before we go into the last topic. Players that we think will make the jump and players who we think will regress. This topic we'll probably do every single week because there's so many players that you could add into this. and I'll let you start with either one of the. You can pick one. We'll do two. You can do two of the same. You can do two different ones. You can do whatever you want. Just two players that both regress, that both are going to make the jump. You decide. I have a feeling I know one of
I'll
them.
do player that I think will improve. I'm actually gonna go with Bayo.
Okay.
I think
I thought you were going to go
he's.
Casas.
I think he's already there. So I
Yeah.
don't. I think if he just keeps playing like he is, then he'll be an all-star. But I think Bayo needs to make a little bit of a jump to be the number 1 or 2 for the Red Sox. And I mean, he's shown flashes that he can be that guy. He just kind of slowed down the end of the year.
Yeah, he's like got everything you need. He's really good. I think sometimes he just throws like some meatballs in there by accident. I don't know. I do think the pitching coach thing will help though. Like everybody, and specifically our good pitchers. Like I mean,
It's like crazy. I mean, every time he threw a fastball up in the zone, it was a home run. So
yeah.
just tell him to stop doing that, and he's going to be good.
I think a player that is going to regress like drastically, like probably will be so average, they won't even have him near the All Star game. Is Yandy Diaz? I don't think he'll be near it.
Number one on my list
I think he might
for
play.
regress.
I think he might play in the shitters game if they have one somehow. He is terrible. He
Yeah,
had
he's
to
at
have
the top
been.
of my
They did
list.
like a luckiest and unluckiest hit list, and I actually didn't watch to the end to see the Rays. He had to have been number one for the Rays. I mean, his stat line it was incredible considering what he was like in the past. I never would have. If you told me that was his stats last year, I would have been like, no way, that's a lie.
Yeah, and especially with how bad they are now, like, what's he even playing for?
Yeah,
Like, he's going to go out there and hit a single and stay at first for the whole inning. So
yeah.
he's like, maybe they'll trade him. Who knows with that team? Um, I'll go into one. I'll go into a regress too. I'm gonna say Acuna. I,
Okay.
I, I mean, it's hard to duplicate what he did last year, 30, 70, but that clearly his best season ever. And coming off an injury season, I mean, it's hard to say that he was supposed to be good coming right off his injury the year before this one. To like cut him some slack, and then obviously he goes off this season. But I think he'll go back down to reality a little bit. I mean, he'll still give you 50 bags and 30 homers, but the 340 average or whatever he had, that's gonna drop. I think closer to like the 300.
So you think he'll still be like an elite player, maybe a little bit outside of the MVP candidate, but you don't think he'll be like the best player in the league, clearly.
Yeah, kind of like how Mookie batted 350 that one year, and now he's hitting
Yeah.
280, but still hitting nukes. Like it's just you can't be that consistent like that in baseball. Go put up those numbers every year.
I think some more. I think a team. This is outside of the topic a little bit. I think a bunch of players on the Nationals could get better. I think that the Nationals might get better offensively. Um, I was thinking about quite a few of those guys that might like make a jump to be better. But I'm gonna go with one of these guys that's gonna get better because obviously we saw it a little bit. I'm gonna go with De La Cruz or maybe O'Neal Cruz when he comes back. I think one of those two guys is going to become more consistent. They're so young, it's crazy. Like they're literally younger than me. It's ridiculous. I just can't imagine with how much talent and how athletic they are, they just don't somehow find a way to be really good. I think O'Neal is considerably worse than Ellie, but I mean Ellie was really bad at the end last year, so I just don't know if that's a perfect take, but I kind of am rooting for it in a sense because he does have he's really good.
Yeah, I had those two on my list together as players that will improve. Is when LA came up, I said this guy is O'Neal Cruz. Like
Yeah,
they look the same, they play the same position, they have cannons for arms, they run fast,
yeah.
they just play explosive, steal bases. But I think the league adjusted to them, and now they have to see if they can figure it out. I think Duran is someone that kind of played like them, came up, played hot, slowed down, and then he figured it out. So let's see if these guys can do something like Duran did last season.
Yep. This is obviously quite a few guys. You can continue to do this, but I think it'll be a fun thing to kind of go through before the season starts. But that will jump us into our last topic, which is the worst team and the best team in the AL and the NL, as well as the sneakiest team in the AL and the NL. I guess more or less what we're looking for is, when we ask this question, the worst team that, let's say a team that will be considerably worse, and the worst team. And let's do a team that's going to be considerably better, and the best team. Because that's kind of what sneakiest is going to mean, in a sense, is like who the best is going to be. I'm sure everybody knows the Dodgers are going to be the best, so we're not going to say they're the best team for the National League. Like, that's inevitable. So, I'm going to start off with the sneakiest team in the AL. I just don't want to be biased, but can I not be biased here? It has to be the Sox. I mean, it just has to be. There is potential if young guys come up and play, and Casas plays 162 games of being great, and Story plays good baseball. I don't know if we're sitting there out here trying to win the World Series with how much we're paying, and I know we might try to stay under the tax again or whatever, but I don't know. I think it's hard to say that we're not going to be great.
Hard to disagree with that one. But my team, I'm going with the Tigers. Sneaky good. Really not even that sneaky anymore. They finished second in the Central last season, but not a lot of big name guys on that team. And losing Erod hurts, but it might not kill them. And I mean, guys at the end of the season, they're just like, these young guys are buying into their rebuild, and that division's very gettable. So see if they can keep it up.
I could see them finishing. I would agree. I could see them coming in, that one spot with 85 wins and making the playoffs. Like, Skubal is clearly going to be good. I think that Javi has really hurt them because they clearly tried to get two good players in their team. But Baez being terrible kind of destroyed their mojo the last couple of years. Like, it just, everything they were trying to do got hurt because he sucked.
Yeah, it's like they're playing him because they're paying him, and they'd be better off to just DFA him and eat the contract at this point if they want to win.
Yeah.
Which is like tough. It's a tough business decision, but I mean, he's not good anymore.
He should probably, if they're going to continue to play him because they're paying him, they should probably do it again and just hope to God something happens.
Yeah, I'm looking at the roster, and it's like so many no names, but there's a couple guys that are good. Like Kerry Carpenter's not bad.
Yeah.
Meadows is on that team. He's not that good anymore. Torkelson is a guy that bounced back huge from a rough start as a rookie, and he's playing really well. Oh, they also signed Jack Flaherty. I forgot about that one. Was pretty bad when he was on the Orioles. Yeah, that got traded to the Orioles, and now he's apparently Erod's replacement, which the downgrade, but he's going to give them innings. Which
yeah, at least they tried.
Good. Yeah, they'll be an interesting team to keep an eye on.
Yeah, and like it's a very gettable division. It's kind of cool seeing a lot of those average teams try to get better because that's probably why most of them are trying because it is gettable. But like you said, the Tigers have some guys. I mean, they have a pretty good outfield for the most part. I mean, Riley Green still could be great. Like he was solid last year at times, and
yeah,
I don't know if he's still going to be injured going into next year or not, but I'm definitely a guy I'm going to keep an eye on. I think Torque and him, that's two good players right there, and there's a couple other guys that are going to make that jump on that team. There's a guy I'm blanking on in the infield. I think he plays third base. Maybe first. I don't think first though. He's
I think Torque's at first.
Well, I gotta look at this roster too because there is a guy that was solid last year that they signed Chafin.
Could be their closer.
Yeah, maybe I was thinking of Torque, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, Torque and Green are kind of like the two guys that came up and
I kind of forgot. I think I was getting Torkelson's position mixed up with Carpenter's position. I thought Torque played outfield and Carpenter played infield, but I got him wrong. So yeah, I think those two guys with Carpenter just could. If Javi Baez plays anything that's respectable baseball, yeah, they're gonna be fine.
yeah, decent defense still. I mean, he makes the flashy plays, but not the routine ones. So he'll. I mean, you got to think he wants to bounce back, but he's getting paid, so who knows?
Yeah, I mean they signed. It looks like I think Kenta Maeda isn't great, but somebody to
No,
come
that's a
throw some
decent signing
innings.
though.
I mean Joey Wentz is atrocious. He can't be pitching games. If he's pitching, they're losing. I, I think I bet on a game where he pitched, and I just lost all faith in him after that one.
Yeah, the rotation still isn't that great.
In the NL, I mean, the NL is just like so hard because you know it's going to be dominated by these teams that are going to be great. I think a team that will get worse. Like, I talked about the Diamondbacks and how impressed I was with them, but they could get worse. They could all plateau. They could get worse than plateauing. Um, I don't really have an answer for a team over there that's going to get considerably worse, besides obviously the Padres. But they could still do something.
I have the Padres as my sneaky good team in the NL, but I mean, obviously they're losing guys, but I think that lineup's just way too good for them to not still like put up a serious amount of runs. And I mean, they're gonna want to come back and show that they still can do something. Even losing
Yeah,
Soto, like
and they
that
could.
top three of Bogarts, Machado, Tatis is still like one of the best in the league, especially if Tatis can dial it back to what it used to be.
Yeah, and especially if they still do sign guys, then if they sign, Snell back, then things get interesting again, and that's probably what's going to decide it for me is if they did, get some pitching to replace Snell
Yeah,
or
I mean, they lost Walker too, which I mean, he's decent, but it's innings there that they need to fill.
yeah. I think the Rangers are going to be a team that's going to be tough to. They got something going on there too that I kind of like. Um, Obviously, they're not better than the Dodgers, and they're probably not better than the Braves, but sometimes all that really matters is the confidence on the field. And I think the Dodgers will lack some of that at times. Or really the chemistry, too. I mean,
Yeah, the thing with the Rangers is they're they're missing their best player, DeGrom. Like,
yeah.
he's not even pitching, and they won the World Series. So I think he'll be back this season at some point, maybe later on, because he got Tommy John middle of last year or something, maybe even earlier than that. So it's usually a year recovery. So he could be pitching games this season and maybe be back for the playoffs, which I mean, maybe the best pitcher I've ever seen in my life is going to be there for their playoff run. That's a win every time. So
Yeah,
that's
he's
scary.
he's incredible, to say the least.
It's it's like speechless when you watch it. It's just
Yeah.
the guys go back to the dugout after three pitches.
He's definitely one of the best pitchers I've ever watched, and
Yeah.
I'm hoping he stays healthy.
Two Tommy Johns is not something not serious. So I
Yeah,
think, I mean, Evaldi had two Tommy Johns, and he's their ace right now. So
they got a lot of injuries over there.
yeah, Scherzer, he's out half the season too. He got like herniated disc surgery or something. So he's
Yeah,
still there for another year.
crazy. The Astros haven't did diddly squat.
No, they'll make the ALCS still though, because they never don't.
Yeah, they'll find a way
They
to be
actually got
great.
better. They got better because they lost Maldonado.
Yeah, but that was gonna be a blockbuster signing for us.
He's on the White Sox. He's going to win the World Series over there.
He's ready to catch Cease until they trade him because they realize that they blow weenies.
That might be the team that got considerably worse just because they always get worse. I don't know. There's a lot of really bad teams, a lot of really good teams.
Maybe we'll get Robert at the deadline. He'll come out there and just bomb some for us.
He's going to cost our top 3 prospects probably. He's insanely good and very young.
I would definitely trade some of our better players for him.
Yeah, we just need pitching so much more than a bat that I think that's what we're going to do. I do think we make a trade for a young, controllable starter like Luzardo or Kirby, but it's going to cost a lot.
Kirby is good.
Yeah, Mariners fans think it's gonna take Bayo and Casas for us to get him, which is just like
stupid.
I mean, it means that they think highly of him, but I mean that's just like we wouldn't even give one of those guys straight up.
Yeah, I know. If you gave him Bayo, you would literally be gaining nothing. You'd be trading a good pitcher for a good pitcher. It's just a lose-lose trade.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to pretty much wrap it up for us here today. I don't really know how long we were there for. I imagine it was something like an hour and 10 minutes, roughly. Do you know exactly how long it was?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Over an hour, I think.
So basically, essentially, I'm going to be posting the, some of the better conversations to TikTok specifically, and then posting the entire thing on YouTube. And just kind of doing these podcasts as a whole once a week because it gives me a very much more manageable goal between doing one of these and one of the football ones. So I hope you guys do enjoy the concept of these because I know there's thousands and thousands of podcasts out there and it's not easy to get some kind of audience for it, but I'm going to try my best to advertise it and make it as fun as possible. So if you guys do enjoy or, even watch 10 minutes of it, we really appreciate it. If you guys have any suggestions or feedback on the podcast, how to make it better, what we could do to make it better, we'd appreciate that as well. But make sure you guys do subscribe. Follow all the social media down in the description. I'll also put Ethan's stuff there. Shout out to him for joining us for an hour. I'm sure he was doing a lot of stuff.
Pretty busy.
We don't really have a lot going on. Pretty much my life consists of working and waiting for my online stupid classes. So like I said, I appreciate it, and I look forward to the next one, and we'll see you soon.